Robe is on location in Los Angeles with lighting designer Rob Sinclair. How do you know this location?
We're in Latuna Canyon, or Latuna as I should say, with my British accent, which is somewhere I drive past on my way home from work quite a lot. It felt very LA. There's wilderness, there's hills, there's suburban houses, there's palm trees, and there's a highway going right the way through it. So it's kind of sums the place up for me a little bit.
It's got all the elements.
Yeah.
Let's just do a quick rewind and talk about how you first got interested in lights. What first sparked you to think about it as a career?
There was this moment that I went to the theatre with my parents when I was probably about 10. And I remember looking at the wall. It was somewhere in the West End. I don't know which theatre it was. And I saw that there was a light. And just before the show, and I noticed this light on the wall. And I went, oh. And then I noticed that it was plugged in. So there was a 15 amp round pin plug. And my 10-year-old thought process of that was like, well, why would you need to plug it in? It's just a light. Wouldn't it be, why would you need to unplug it and move it around? And I then looked around the theatre even more and I realised that there are all of these lights that I could see. And during the show I realised there were a lot of lights I couldn't see. And I then worked out that they all kind of, I didn't know what they did, but you could unplug one and move it to somewhere else and there were empty positions and things. And that just set off this thing where I became really fascinated by it and tried to learn as much about it as I could, and now I'm standing in Los Angeles.
Did you actually study? Did you go to college?
I didn't know. I had an interview at Central School and fluffed it terribly because I didn't know what I was doing. I left school and became the world's worst mobile DJ. And was terrible, but then sort of ended up doing lighting in marquees and for posh parties and things, and then from there I went to City of Westminster College. They had the theatre electrics course, the old theatre projects course, which was about the only thing I could find and was fascinating. And from there I got my job at Verilite, initially retrofitting lights and then working in prep, and things sort of developed from there. Then I started going out on the road as a tech, and then I started operating other people's shows, and then I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to do my own shows, and then things sort of built from there.
Was there a first or a significant show at all?
I think the two things that grounded me really well or set me off were I got the opportunity to operate the Verilites on Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance for a year. I learned a lot about touring, a lot about people, a lot about lighting, a lot about programming, and that sort of really set me up. And then Paul Normandeau gave me an opportunity a couple of years later to go on this tour in the UK with the Hollies, the band from the 60s, and I stayed with them for a few years, and I taught myself about video and about programming and about building a show, and they were very patient with me, and I think those two really stand out.
You have a reputation for being innovative and thinking out the box. Is that something that's evolved, or is it something that's inherently you, or is it like a design approach that you've kind of honed over the years?
I always set out to, and I still try and do now, to whenever I'm sending a drawing out or I'm looking at an idea, I'm just thinking, could anyone else have done this? And my hope is that everything that I do has my perspective on it, or something someone else might not have thought of, and all of the most successful work that I've done, I think, has come from that.
Do you prefer to design all aspects of production, like sort of lighting, video, set, obviously, like all visual elements when there's an opportunity?
Yes. I enjoy doing two things. I enjoy being across everything. That's really fun, and working with lots of talented people to make that happen. I also really enjoy just being a licensed designer. I love doing that and being part of a wider team and being able to really concentrate on detail. So, and luckily I get an opportunity to do both things most years.
You've worked with a lot of interesting artists as well. Queen and Adam Lambert, Kylie, Rex Orange County, Lil Nas, Tame Impala. Do you enjoy the sheer variety of work?
I'm really grateful that I've been given the opportunity to work with so many different types of people, different genres, different artists, different disciplines. And I think it's really great that I can take something from working in theatre and bring it into a music show. I can take things from music and take them into theatre, although when I first started doing music I had to learn very, very fast. But there's so many fascinating things in musical theatre that you can bring into the pop shows and help it make so much more sense.
Is there a favourite show that you've designed?
I think there are two that really spring out. I'm very proud of all of my work, and everything that I've done I put a lot of love into. But there's two particular things are Peter Gabriel Back's Front show where we took Jonathan Smeaton's original equipment from the 80s and built this totally new show using these camera booms with moving lights on the end of it, and thinking of the possibilities of that and the way that man and machine really combined to make that show amazing. That's one thing, and the other thing is David Byrne's American Utopia, which started off as a vague idea and became a tour, and then became a Broadway show and became a movie directed by Spike Lee, and it was just such an amazing journey to work in all of those new mediums and experience all of those new things.
And were you involved in all aspects of that, every iteration of that project?
Yeah, I was involved with that project from the beginning. I first went to see David in I think it was June 2017, then it eventually closed on Broadway in April 2021.
Since 2021, you've been living in LA. What prompted the move?
I mean, it's quite a long story, but really it was the end of 2020. I got one of those national interest waivers that you could get to travel to the US to do a TV show in Nashville, and so I came here with hand luggage to stay for a couple of weeks, and I never left. So I sort of moved here by accident.
How has it been? Because I would say you're quintessentially English in many ways, and this is a hugely different culture. So how has it actually been for you? I
love it here. I've had great opportunities. And it feels exciting. It feels like there's new things to do here, and it seems to suit me better than it should do on paper.
What do you most love about your work?
I think it's the people. I wouldn't have said that to you in 2019, but it really, spending time away just made me realise that these incredibly creative, funny, ridiculous people that gravitate to doing what we do and what makes it fun.
Yeah, there are some amazing characters, that's for sure. You enjoy travelling, don't you? So apart from LA now, are there any other places that you like to go?
Again, one of the great joys of having been doing this for a while is that I know I have this really shallow knowledge of so many places around the world, and I know, I have a favourite coffee shop in Melbourne, which is preposterous, and I love going back to places and just putting another layer of depth on my knowledge of them every time I go, and that's really fun. I've sort of said that I've had a 2-week vacation in San Francisco, but over a 25-year period. Looking back over your whole career, are there a couple of highlights or interesting moments that you could share? For me, it's kind of amazing that going from being this kid that loved music and loved lighting and loved technology, all the places that it's taken me, of riding motorcycles in Australia, living in California, being able to kind of navigate the Tokyo Metro okay, all through Europe, through America, and the amazing people that I've met and worked with along the way, it's just been great.